This episode is brought to you in association with Timeform, your trusted source for racing data and analysis. By Total Performance Data, the world leader in thoroughbred performance technology. And by FitzDares. Hi there, good morning. It's the calm after the storm here at Goodwood. It's the 1st of August alongside Rishi Persad. Wow, Rishi, yesterday. My. I don't think I've ever known anything like it.
No, I thought when Here Comes When won the Sussex here, what was it, 7-8 years ago, I can't remember exactly, and it rained, I thought that till yesterday was the worst weather I'd ever experienced. Yesterday was twice as bad.
And of course it had a significant effect on the Group 1 feature race yesterday, the Nassau Stakes, because it was started with a flag. Old school style, because there was lightning in the area. Let's get straight into it today. Did they do the right thing, or should they have just delayed until the lightning had dispersed and they could have put the 5 runners into a starting gate? Can you have a Group 1 started with a flag?
I think in the circumstances, they have done the best job they could. I understand why it's preferable to have a Group 1 race started with starting stalls, but there are more than just it's just more than the race's integrity that is at stake in it. Obviously, there's the broadcasters, there's the scheduling of the knock-on effect of other races, and I think in the circumstances they did the best that they could in going ahead with the race as it was.
To what extent was that completely motivated by the fact that they needed to conform to the ITV schedule?
I think that's a large part of it.
It's got to be the only part of it, hasn't it? There's no other reason for doing it.
Well, there is the knock-on effect that when do you know that the lightning's going to stop? I mean, all yesterday I kept speaking to Ed Arkle throughout the afternoon saying, do you have any idea of, well, he said no, because we weren't expecting all of this, so it's very difficult to predict anything. So you then stand in perpetuity, standing waiting. Yeah. So what do? You have to make a decision at some point. There comes a cut-off point, and given the ITV requirements, it's understandable why they made that decision. Obviously, people saying yesterday's race was a farce. The result was actually a believable result, and I understand why people are saying it's a farce.
I don't think you'd have had a different result.
But then you had a race the day before. You had a race the day before that started with starting stalls, and that was somewhat of a farce in the way it unfolded. So take your pick.
All right, so they did the right thing
yesterday,
and they did the right thing. The 8th and final race, or 9th race if you include the Magnolia Cup, was actually only run about 2.5 minutes past the advertised post time, which I thought was pretty extraordinary, really, given the circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, I think given the circumstances, and you've said it, I've said it, everybody here yesterday would have understood just how difficult it was to conduct proceedings throughout the day because of the unpredictability of what was happening. It wasn't just simply that we were caught in an awful downpour. It's the fact that it hadn't been predicted to be quite as bad as that, nor as prolonged as that, for such caught everyone on the back foot, basically. So I think the right decision was made in the end.
All right, well, that's what you think. Let's find out what Adam Mills from Total Performance Data made of the performance, and particularly whether that flag start had any significant impact on the magnitude of Whirl's performance.
Let's talk about today's Nassau Stakes at Goodwood. Now, look, there is clearly an issue with this race. The 10-minute delay, the fact they've gone with the flag start. I think we can all see from the replay that this flag start could possibly have been done better. But it isn't the massive advantage to Whirl that you might think. Now, the key in the sectional times is to look at the difference between Whirl and a stablemate Bedtime Story. Whirl is over a second quicker in that opening furlong. There's a definite advantage there. But when we talk about Whirl, for her early speed, 8.8 seconds to reach 30 miles an hour. We've got to be a little bit careful with this data because we're not breaking straight from the stalls. We have got a slight running start, but she's ranked 4th. Her average speed, 35 miles an hour, is 2nd. Her top speed of 38.5 miles an hour is the last of the 5. But what Whirl does really well is sees out her races. Look at that late speed, ranked 1st. Run out speed, ranked 1st. Really good stride frequency considering those conditions. And I think we can safely say that having run the fastest 3 final furlongs, she is the best horse in this race. Did we learn a massive amount about her arc chances? Well, it's hard to be sure because those in behind were certainly inconvenienced by the way the race panned out. But this was a brilliant performance under Ryan Moore. There's no doubt about the winner. The start is a slight issue, but you shouldn't underestimate the power of that finishing kick.
All right, that's Adam Mills from TPD. Quite interesting there. So really, he's just saying she's much the best, but it's her finish. It's the way she sees out at 10 furlongs. What about her for the Arc then? Why shouldn't she be right on top of the list?
I think she should be.
So do I.
I agree. I think, judged by her performance in the Oaks, where it's possible she's still coming forward. You've seen it so many times with Aidan O'Brien's fillies. They just get better with every run. She's rock solid. She ran really well in the Oaks. She obviously bolted up in the Musidora. And then in the Pretty Polly, I thought Kalpana was going to get the better of her. Kalpana travelled better than her, but she wore her down, suggesting that if she had to go a little bit further, she might have won by a bit further. I still think that there's more improvement to come up in trip. I actually genuinely believe that she could be better, even better, over a mile and a half, given another opportunity over that trip again.
And she can handle any ground. That's the beauty of it, isn't it?
And she's uncomplicated. She doesn't pull. She's not keen. She can sit in the front. She can sit just off the pace. I think she's rock solid. Unless something else emerges, I can't see. Actually, possible that the Pretty Polly might have been the biggest indicator of what might happen in the Arc this year.
Well, just before the rains came down in torrents, we ran the Richmond Stakes. I think they started in the sunshine and ended in a storm pretty well, but the ground hadn't completely deteriorated by then. The winner was Coppull, owned and bred by David Armstrong, whose best horse to date has been Mason, who is actually the grandsire of Coppull on the dam side. And it was quite clear, talking to David, that this victory meant more to him than an awful lot had in recent years, and he told me why.
It meant so much, Nick, because we've had 2 years. In 23, as everybody knows, the season starts the end of March, goes through to the first week in November. By the Temple Stakes, and actually on the Temple Stakes day, because Sam Beck was running in the Temple Stakes, we'd lost our 4 best horses, and by that they all got career finishing immediate issues. They were in the team. That was Ainsdale 104, Blackrod 98, Bickerstaff 96, and highly progressive Sam Becker 92. And 20 minutes, Nick, before the Temple Stakes, she got a kick in the pre-parade ring. And that just about summed it up. And as everybody knows, in the industry, you can't just go and pick 4 horses off a coat hanger. It doesn't happen like that. And it took the art out of. Not people think you've lost interest. I don't mean taking the art out of the passion and the drive and everything. Absolutely not. It makes you more determined, but it took 30% almost out of the team. Our 4 best horses in the team, 23.
And so, for you and for your family, it's only natural that it becomes a less enjoyable pastime, and it becomes quite heart-wrenching in the end. So, what makes you keep going?
I can't tell you that. We're all different as human beings, but it's just the drive. It's I love breeding, and my passion for the game is not because of yesterday. It's not, it's not altered for many years, and it won't do. It's part of our life. It's trying to breed, champion racehorse.
And you've bred a seriously good one in Coppull. What does it mean to you also that the dam of Coppull is by your great July Cup winner Mason?
Yes, absolutely, Nick, and you was commentating on the day, I remember. It's like unbelievable, 2012. Again, it means everything. We bred Mason, obviously we bred Springwood and Coppull. It's fantastic that we're now developing these lines, which takes many years, to develop. And they don't always breed good horses. You've got to keep at it. The name of the game, keep at it. Keep at it, keep at it. I do say to people, and I'm only now, Nick, breeding is a different ballgame. If you're not a bad loser, don't get in this game if you can't stop losing.
And there must have been a bit of you yesterday when that storm started coming that reminded you of that day of 2012 when Mason swam home in the July Cup.
It did, Nick. I mean, the rain had been when he ran, but Yeah, absolutely, but that was unbelievable yesterday because virtually somebody pressed the button as they're on the line, didn't it? It's unbelievable yesterday, but no, fantastic. And I did sit down for a minute after. I wasn't able to get to Goodwood. I'd got an hospital appointment the morning, but the Mason, the 3 generations, that's what it's about. You bang on. You've hit the nail on the head there for me, personally.
Well, it's a really special day. Do we know where Coppull will head next? Presumably to a Group 1.
Group 1, obviously he's got an entry in the Gimcrack, Nick, but we'll pick a penalty up now, so it will be a Group 1. Obviously I've not spoke to Clive. I spoke to him yesterday, of course, but we'll just see how he is this morning and we'll plan further. That's all I can say.
All right, that was David Armstrong. Really enjoyed talking to him. He making the point about Coppull and the rain hadn't quite hit by the time he passed the post in the Richmond Stakes. It sure did afterwards, and there was an awful lot of variety of opinion as to what exactly the ground was. This is Dan Barber's Timeform perspective.
The weather seemed to dominate more of the chat, certainly on social media, than the quality of the racing at Glorious Goodwood on Thursday. And perhaps under such unusual conditions with that monsoon-like rain, dogma isn't really appropriate. But suffice to say, the official form book and Timeform's form book will not agree when it comes to their assessment of conditions, despite the very heavy showers. Good was appropriate as far as we read it for the first 2 races, but whilst officially it was changed to heavy in one fell swoop for race 3, Timeform suggested the ground was closer to good to soft, and indeed we went with good to soft for the last 5 races, which will appear in our form book, but maybe not officially. As I say, perhaps not the place for dogma, given those sorts of weather conditions aren't the norm, but they certainly would pique interest when it comes to Friday's action. I thought that was most relevant when it comes to Asphora, likely favourite for the King George Sprint. As you might anticipate, Aussie Raiders, who've been very good over the years, great takeover target, the great Choisier, haven't often encountered testing ground. Indeed, from the 61 runners on our database from Oz, only 5 of them have run under conditions described on our database as good to soft or worse. And at the moment, none of those 5 were successful. Second, the best they could muster. That's the question perhaps that Asphora, a potential form standout, has to answer on Thursday, albeit with conditions expected to dry out. Can the Aussie mare set the record straight from 12 months earlier, or will those conditions blunt her obvious speed?
All right, Dan Barber there from Timeform. Now, Ed Arkle has walked along just at the appropriate moment.
Or not, as the case may be.
Well, so he's saying you went a step too far and called it heavy, and actually the times for Timeform, notwithstanding the flag start stuff, was suggesting it really wasn't that bad at all.
I think I probably went a step too far with hindsight. We think probably soft, maybe good to soft in places, which is what we put it at this morning. Times that we're looking at would have suggested that. So, my mistake. We jumped a bit too far, but it wasn't exactly much fun, and it was coming down quite hard. So
yeah, you were kind of caught in a bit of a maelstrom at that point, weren't you?
Yeah, it was rather. I mean, what do we have? Just shy of 30 millimetres in that 40-minute period, and then sort of 6 or 7 after that during racing and a little bit into the evening.
Are we going to get any more today?
No.
Definitely not. That's a no. That's a very clear no.
That's a clear no. The forecast says nothing, and lovely sunny day and a fair old breeze as well. So hopefully it'll steady back a little bit more.
Rishi and I were talking about the flag starts earlier. I mean, was that entirely because you needed to get these races in the TV window?
There are lots of things to bring into consideration. The runners for the Gordon Stakes were already well on their way down to the start when there was a bit more lightning, so that was what it was. We held on a little bit for the Nassau before we sent them down, seeing if we could get a window without any lightning. But at some point they're fillies, they've been out, they're walking around, they're wet. It's not really ideal, is it? So how long do you end up sort of sitting and waiting? And we could have waited half an hour, and it would have been this. You'd waited half an hour, got them out, thought everything was great, and then there was another flash of lightning again. So how long do you wait the next time? And I just think at some point you have to make a decision, don't you?
Was there any bit of you during yesterday that thought we're not going to make it to the end of the day?
when I was up here and it came down, I did wonder what was going to happen. As soon as I got out on the track, I walked from here up, right up the straight, round the top bend, down to the intersection while they were on their way to post for the Gordon, and I'm really, really happy with it. I couldn't believe how well it had taken it. Spoke to the jockeys on the intersection, so they were going down, they were happy, so, great.
With that in mind, and given the fact that it's warming up a bit, it's a bit fresh this morning, but warming up, there is quite a stiff breeze. To what extent could we be talking about almost good ground for Stewards Cup Day?
I think we could certainly get to the quicker side of good to soft. Whether we got as far as good, I don't know, let's see. I mean, the grass is thirsty, the soil's thirsty, and it does dry here well, the track's in good nick, and there's a real good breeze and some sun, so that'll help it.
Perfect, Ed, thank you so much.
Great, thanks.
I'm going to let Ed hand the mic back to Rishi, who's currently thumbing through a copy of the Daily Mail. I didn't have you down as a mail reader.
Nor did I have Ed Arkle down as a mail reader, but he's got it tucked under his arm, which is probably not a good idea.
He's an avid Sarah Vine fan, I'm told.
Is he? I didn't get to that Sarah Vine column.
Interesting what he was saying there about that. Total hands up, I think I got it wrong. It's not something you often hear from clerks of the course, is it?
No, he. To be fair, as he was saying to me originally yesterday about the ground being heavy, it was right after the downpour, just before the horses had come back from the Nassau, and there was also a little bit of uncertainty in the air about whether or not racing was going to go ahead. At that point, a few people were suggesting, maybe they're going to call it off now that they've got the Group 1 out of the way and the main race on ITV is out of the way. But I think it's just circumstances.
All good.
It's just
nothing to see here. Move on.
A tough day yesterday.
Very tough, very tough. It's not going to be a tough day today, it's going to be a great day. All right, some news has just dropped here while we're recording the podcast at Goodwood in the sunshine. And it's some very sad news as well of the immediate closure of Thurles racecourse. So I've just pressed dial on FaceTime to Kevin Blake. Morning, Kev.
Morning, Nick.
This is a bit of a bolt from the blue, or is it?
No, it definitely is. Look, Thurles is a big track in Irish racing, really. It's the only privately owned racecourse in Ireland. They've got fixtures locked in going forward. There was no indication that this was coming. It'll come as a major shock to Irish racing and wider the wider racing world. Owned by the Maloney family for I think over 100 years. It's a massive shock.
So there aren't many privately owned racecourses left, and it's obviously a massive undertaking as well. And I guess for some, there comes a point where they say, well, we just can't go on.
Well, possibly so. Pierce Maloney was Mr. Thurles, for forever, and he passed away about a decade ago, and his wife, his daughters have taken it on. It's the most incredibly homely race course, when you go racing there, and it's only 20 minutes from me here. It's very much a rite of passage. You go racing at Thurles, there's no frills, and no one would pretend there is, but Thursdays on Thurles, at Thurles during the winter in particular, would be seen as a real centre of the grassroots of Irish racing, and it before Dundalk came about, Thurles would have been known as Ireland's all-weather track because it has a phenomenal ability to take rain, and would have been seen as a massive asset for Irish racing in times when the weather wasn't good, because they can race there when other places just cannot. So from a very practical, hard-nosed point of view, it'll be a massive loss to Irish racing on that front, but it'll be a huge loss in the wider sense because so many people hold it very fondly.
From what you're saying then, can we infer from that we shouldn't read into this that it's sort of symptomatic of a major problem in Irish racing?
I don't think so. I'd say this is purely a personal decision. I can't imagine there's anything else underlying. Like I say, they've plenty of fixtures in the barrel ready to go. I do recall, it's a few years ago now, but there was major plans to build a new racecourse and casino at a place called 2 Mile Burris, just down the road from Thurles. It might have been 10 years ago or so, and I do distinctly remember at the time those plans were progressing that the Maloney family said, look, if this happens, we'll most likely close down. That's the only time I've ever heard any murmurings about the future of Thurles Racecourse. So this is a major shock. The timing of it, it's very unexpected.
Where would most of those fixtures go, do you think?
Oh God, I don't know. They race dual purpose now. Look, there will be plenty of race courses putting their hands up, but none of them, in terms of a national hunt track, would be able to boast the type of ground that they have at Thurles. You think of the wonderful horses that have raced there over the years. It'll be a real loss now. It's quite a shock.
Kev, just out of interest, and I'm only speculating because it's very early after the news is broke, but would there not be a consideration for a wealthy benefactor or even HRI thinking, well, we can buy the racecourse off a privately owned family run racecourse?
Look, it's a possibility, but from a HRI point of view, I'd purely speculation. I'd suggest it's unlikely. At the minute they're progressing plans to build a second all-weather track at Tipperary, which is owned by HRI. Look, this racecourse is situated quite close to Thurles town. I'd imagine it's probably worth an awful lot of money. If it did come up for sale, I imagine it would be a very competitive sale, because I'd imagine there'd be plenty of property developers that might want to get their hands on it. Again, purely speculating now. This news is so fresh, and I suppose something that you have to mention as well, Nick and Rish, is the Maloney family would have gone through a really tough time there because of course Michael O'Sullivan's accident that of course led to his death took place at Thurles less than a year ago, and that would have been extremely difficult for them to deal with. Again, I'm not speculating that was a factor in this, but it's a possibility, and I just find myself very sad. I grew up going racing at Thurles. A huge amount of people in Irish racing will hold Thurles very fondly, and this really is shocking news. But look, you wish the Maloney family well. They've made a huge contribution to Irish racing, like I say, over the course of 100 years, essentially more, and it's a very sad day, but you also are very thankful for everything that Thurles has done for racing and the Maloney family, and look, you wish them well going forward in whatever they do, but I can't help but be sad as to how this played out. It's such a shock.
Thanks so much for stopping by, Kev. Really appreciate it, and I know the news has only just broken, so all the more appreciated. And you're looking very spruce there in Golden today.
Yeah, like you, Nick, I'm pressing the refresh button on an on-runner page.
Yeah, it's not happening, is it? It's not.
We've got an hour and a half, Nick. Believe a Persad.
Thanks, Kev. Good luck. I hope I'm speaking to you later this morning.
Cheers. Thanks, Nick.
Cheers, mate. Take care.
Cheers, Kev.
So, thanks to Kevin for stopping by and chatting to us there. If you weren't wondering what he was referring to at the end, he and I share a filly called Bissett with Emma and Mikey, and she's first reserve for the Guinness Handicap tonight at Galway, and she'll be, I don't know, probably second favourite if she gets in.
Oh, okay.
So
who would ride?
Well, Dylan will ride her if she runs, but I listen. She's got another hour and a half to get in.
Fingers crossed.
I know. That refresh.
I'm going to chuck her in the Acca then.
Yeah, I did ring our friend at Watnan, Richard Brown, and say, do you really need to be running Lope de Lilas tonight? Out of form. He said it's the biggest certainty of the week.
Oh, right, okay. Forecast then if you get in.
We ought to just reflect on that news. It is always sad when a racecourse goes, because it's not just, well, here's a load of fixtures going. It's a part of people's upbringing. It's part of people's soul. It's so many memories. It's just a very sad day. It's
exactly that. Every racecourse has a different emotional effect on individuals around it. For people like yourself, me, people who grew up in racing, there'll be racecourses that you've been fondly attached to since childhood for only your reasons, and there'll be many people in Ireland that will be attached to Thurles. I don't know the intricacies of why the family have decided to draw stumps on running the racecourse as that, but it is quite simply a sad decision from a racing perspective, but the family will have other reasons why they've done it.
We've slightly been cut off at the pass by that news, but I do want to get back on track and talk about today.
Yeah.
And if the wind keeps up at this rate and the sun keeps beating down, the ground's not going to be that bad for the big sprint race today, the King George, which is sort of today's feature. Henry Dwyer, the Australian trainer of Asfoora, he's been on Twitter this morning.
Yes, he said 35 mils of rain.
Sorry, on X this morning.
X. And he said 35 mils of rain, heavy ground. He's been out, had a look, took a video, and he said that the plan is to speak to the jockeys after the first few races before committing, but they remain keen to run.
What do you think? Do you still think that she can win on this ground?
She has got a win or form on soft ground in Australia. Obviously, it's not probably exactly the same here, but I'm not sure whether she's the same filly as she was last year. I mean, by this time, she'd already won at Royal Ascot. She ran okay at Ascot. If you put the fact that maybe she needed that run, it was 2 months between the races, her last run in Australia and her run at Royal Ascot. Watching the way the results have gone this week, I'm not confident about her chances, or at least as confident Henry Dwyer has been, because he said even though she might not be 100% and that Nunthorpe is the target, he thinks she'll still be good enough to win. I think it's a very competitive race, and I don't think it's a straightforward task for her. I'd take her on.
I'm struggling to raise Henry this morning.
I think he might have gone back. Maybe he's having breakfast, which if that was me, I would not be stopping to take a phone call.
Should we have a little breakfast after this?
Well, I've got to do racing TV this morning, so.
Bad time.
But you can bring. I'll eat it whilst I'm on it.
Okay, I'll bring you some. I'll bring you some anyway.
Please bring something good.
What else are you most looking forward to today?
The Golden Mile. I put up Araseg earlier in the week as my best bet of the week.
For the Johnstons, yep.
For the Johnstons. A few of their horses have run well without doing the job. I quite like the fact that Araseg flew past Greek Order at the end of the race last time, yet earlier in the week. It's the same between the two. Waits from last time at Sandown behind Classic, and Araseg was caught in a bit of traffic, flew home, got second, had Greek Order behind, was unlucky here behind Crimson Advocate, never could get a run. I think might have beaten Crimson Advocate that day, and of course won here last year. Jamie Spencer was booked to ride this horse a long time ago. I can't see, as long as she has a bit of luck in running, how she isn't in the frame.
Alrighty, we need to find out what's been back today. Here's Orlando from Fitzdares.
Morning, Nick. Yeah, on this slightly less wet and much sunnier day 4 of Glorious Goodwood, we're going to have a look at the feature race of the day, the 5 furlong King George Qatar Stakes. Top of the market, we have the Aussie Raider Asfoora. She'll be looking to go one better than her second place last year at 100 to 30. We then have Commonwealth Cup winner for Harry Eustace, Time for Sandals at 9 to 2. Second place in the July Cup, Big Mojo for Mick Appleby at 9 to 2. And then 8 to 1, all bigger the rest. Our big liability in the market is actually Big Mojo. Whether it's because people still have a soft spot for Big Evs, obviously the same ownership group who won here last year, or the fact they were genuinely impressed with his second place in the July Cup recently. He seems to come for a bit of money for us, so yeah, he seems the big bogey. That coupled with Asfoora, she's been pretty easy to back in the last few days. Was about 7 to 4 3 days ago. Since declarations and I think all this rain, not much support at all. So back out to 100 to 30, pretty backable to be honest. So yeah, we'll be looking towards Time for Sandals for the Harry Eustace yard, looking to back up that Group 1 success in the Commonwealth Cup at Ascot last month. That will be the one we're steering home today. Boost wise, we have boosted top 2 in the market. We boosted Asfoora and Big Mojo both to come in the top 4. Was 2 to 1, now 5 to 2. So if the 2 market principles can get the job done, then that is the boost for you.
All right, some interesting announcements from the sales house Tattersalls to tell you about. Jason Singh is joining me now. Good morning, Jason.
Morning, Nick. Nice to see you've dried out.
It is drying out fast, and it's a pretty stiff breeze here at Goodwood. Will we see you down here the next couple of days?
I was down there on Tuesday, which was great fun as always, coming down to Goodwood. But alas, that was the only day. Probably lucky that I haven't got down there yesterday.
Now you've given your sales races a big boost. Tell me a little bit about what's happening and what the thinking behind it is.
Yeah, exciting to announce. It'll be announced today that the Tattersalls Somerville Auction Stakes is going to be doubled in prize money from 100 to 200,000, and the Tattersalls October Auction Stakes is going to have an increase of 50,000 from 150 to 200,000. And yeah, it hopefully will get more people coming into the sales to buy.
And is this targeting a particular sector of the market, do you think?
Well, what we've found is that, I mean, people can come and buy a nice horse there, of course, but there are a lot of owners, especially those in larger syndicates, that really enjoy the prospect of a big prize pool. And no better illustration of that than last year's winner of the October Auction Stakes, which was the Dragon King, bought for 21,000 guineas by Midland Park Racing for their syndicate. So look, anybody likes winning good prize money, but it does appeal to some of the smaller owners who can enjoy some success for not a lot of money.
And to what extent are you really trying to entrench that Tattersalls Somerville sale? We were speaking to Chloe about the sale the other day.
Yeah, I mean, it is. We've sort of tightened it up a little bit this year. I think one of the important things about both the Somerville and Book 3 of the October yearling sale is that if you buy a horse from either of those sales, or the autumn yearling sale, which is the old Book 4 this year, you can enter either of those sales races. So that's really the important thing here, is that you're not restricted just to the races that have got the names of those sales on them. You can enter either of them. Somerville yearling sale is definitely here to stay. There's been some great success out of it. Eve Johnson Houghton's Windsor Castle winner, Havana Hurricane, bought for 9,000 guineas. Brad Solana said, both multiple Grade 1 winners, Group 1 winners, both bought for not very much money. And I don't think that's going anywhere.
Jason, thanks so much. Just remind us of those dates and sales again.
Yeah, the Somerville yearling sale takes place on September 2. Catalogue is online. Book 3 of the October yearling sale takes place October 16, 17, about 10 days before the catalogue is online for that. And then what was Book 4 is now the autumn yearling sale at the end of the horses in training sale. And it would be remiss of me not to mention one other graduate from the Book 3 of the October yearling sale, Nick, and that is Lady Ilse, who won the German 1,000 guineas, ran such a fantastic race in the Falmouth, in what would look like an outstanding renewal. She's actually going to be offered, or she's being offered online on the Tats online platform next week, Monday and Tuesday, for sale. So anybody who wants to get hold of a top-class Group 1 filly, log on.
Rishi's still with me. You need one last thing on the podcast today, and that is your daily update from Galway. Please, one non-runner, that's all I need. Jane Mangan.
Greetings from Galway. It's day 5 and it's stamina central from here on out. We were squinting at the screen yesterday as we tried to see whether Sir Sene was going to run down Whirl in the Nassau Stakes. A tape start. We couldn't quite believe it. That's usually Irish weather, isn't it? Nevertheless, 24,300 plus fans came to Ballybrit for Ladies' Day. That was 1,000 down on the 2024 figure, but it didn't quite feel like it on track. The atmosphere was vibrant, the energy was positive, and that's probably indicative of good weather. We were blessed with the sunshine, with warmth, and with a summer's day for the Galway hurdle. It was a real treat if you were in attendance, because the drama didn't just stop on the track. On Wednesday, Gordon Elliott beat his old adversary, Noel Meade, fair and square. Western Fold ran clear of Jesse Evans, but yesterday at 4:30, it looked like Noel Meade was going to get his revenge. Remember, Noel's been around the block. He first won the race in 1982. And as Helvig Dream cleared the last and he crossed the line ahead in front of Indawi, he celebrated yet another big race win. Indawi was second for the second consecutive year after finishing runner-up. to Nürburgring the previous year, and Helvig Dream was completing a unique double after winning the 2021 Tattersalls Gold Cup on the flat, Group 1 and Galway Hurdle. That's quite unheard of, isn't it? But then we were on RTE, we watched the rerun, we watched the head-on, and we watched the overhead. And we started to realise, as the ding-dong went for the steward's inquiry, that there was going to be a bit of a decision to make. There was persistent pressure from the outside as Donna Myler and Jack Kennedy went toe-to-toe. There was interference, and with only a head between winning and losing, this was going to be a 50-50 tight call. Noel Meade and Gordon Elliott go way back, and for the next 10 minutes they stood side by side. They answered journalists' questions as they pensively awaited the outcome. Donna Myler and Jack Kennedy fought their case, but ultimately the result was reversed. And Dowie got the race and an extra €110,000 for finishing ahead of Helvig Dream. It was raw, it was dramatic, there was tension, shall we say. As I walked out to the car to leave the racetrack, I happened to bump into Noel Meade. We had a little conversation and he indicated that he's definitely going to appeal. I'm sure with his connections, they'll digest, they'll get advice and they will make a decision. But it was a very tight call on the day. And to add insult to injury to poor Donna Myler, the difference between winning and losing was €110,000 and then he incurred a 2-day ban to add insult to injury. Fortunately for him and a measure of his mental constitution, he went out and he rode the next winner. And that was the story of the Guinness Galway Hurdle of 2025. There was a British winner on the card. Richard Fahey came over and he took home the listed Qatar Stakes. And we watched as Aidan O'Brien and Sir Sene took home a chunk of sterling from Goodwood as well. We hope that you've had all the rain you're going to have and that we don't take any of it back here. Today's feature race is the Galway Blazers. It's usually the race best known for the chasers that are not quite highly rated enough to get into the feature race on Wednesday, the Galway Plate. Again, a full competitive field featuring the first reserve from Wednesday, the Goffer, who will be the mount of Josh Williamson and one of 5 runners for Gordon Elliott to see if he can take home yet another feature race. But my one for the money is JP McManus's Never a Dull Moment. He's aptly named, isn't he, for the week that's in it. He's a course and distance winner, he's a dual Galway winner, and he's running off a mark of 125. He's 16 on your race cards, and I think Never a Dull Moment can live up to his name and maybe take home the prize this afternoon. It's the Blazers, it's the 1st of August. I don't know what day of the week it is, but it's still fun.
Jane Mangan there from Galway. I'm not sure she can deliver me what I need. Not even Jane can deliver that for me, can she?
Oh, she's quite a powerful lady.
She's quite powerful.
Yeah. Chances.
Okay, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Today then, Rishi Persad's betting ledger reads how?
Wow, actually, I really think today could be a good day for the Johnstons.
So Araseg,
aligned the stars in the opening race. Mdawi's going to go again after being unlucky.
Ran really well the other day.
Unlucky. And look at the family.
Peeping Fawn.
Wooden Bassett out of Peeping Fawn. That's a really good pedigree. Right down the bottom of the handicap still. I think it could be a very good day for Charlie Johnston.
I like it. Thank you so much for coming in.
Lucky, thank you. It's always great to be part of the show. You've got a great backroom team as well. I enjoy the conversations with my fellow Man United fan.
No Charlotte here though today.
That's a shame.
You know why?
Why?
She's gone to Saratoga.
Has she really?
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah, I know. She's flying the NLD flag.
How did that decision come? How did you choose Charlotte to do that journey?
Well, it was either her or me.
Oh.
And I'm going on holiday tomorrow. So.
France?
France.
Lovely.
Yeah. So she is at the Spa. She'll be reporting on the Whitney, which looks a terrific race at the weekend, and then to the Facing Tipton Sale.
Exciting times.
Very exciting times. I'm not envious one bit.
No.
She also tipped a winner yesterday.
Oh.
Which I think nobody else has done this week, have they, Luca?
Yatesy did.
Oh, Yatesy did. Oh my God, he'll kill me if I
tipped
didn't.
a winner.
Yatesy does tip the odd winner. Yatesy
Shame.
does tip the odd winner.
Shame. But today, the Johnsons. Follow the Johnsons today.
Right.
Be raking it in.
He's tipping Johnston trained horses at Goodwood. Rupert Bell's just walked past in a linen suit. It's as though yesterday never happened. All is well with the world. We will be back for a special Saturday podcast, rather like this one, tomorrow, which will be hosted by the one and only Joshua Jack Stacey. Bye for now.
You've been listening to Nick Luck Daily. This episode has been brought to you in association with Timeform, your trusted source for racing data and analysis, by Total Performance Data, the world leader in thoroughbred performance technology, and by FitzDares.